Good morning. I'm going to talk today about gratitude since it's the last part of Thanksgiving week. And the scientists and researchers have recently discovered that gratitude has such an impact on our life. And people who participate in gratitude on a regular basis have a stronger immune system. They're happier. They seem to be more successful in their relationships. It just means everything because it's life affirming. When we're thankful for something, basically what we're saying is we have gratitude for something outside of ourselves that has happened or that has been given to us, and it's not of our doing. We're thankful for different things. About a year and a half ago, I went to a huge anniversary ceremony. It was 65 years. Max and Harriet were celebrating. And the entire family came in for this. It was an incredible event. And after the renewal vows that I did at the reception, Max stood up and he said he wanted to say a few things. He said 67 years ago, it's 2 years before he and Harriet met, 67 years ago he was in Korea fighting a war. And when he was there, he got a telegram, and it said that his father had been killed in a car accident. So it took him 3 days to get out of Korea, but he did get a family pass, an emergency pass, to come home to attend the funeral. It took him 3 days to get out of Korea. He flew to Atlanta, and there he learned that there wasn't another plane for 24 hours. So he decided to take the bus. He gets to the bus depot, goes in. The next bus for Kansas City area is leaving in 3 hours. Very tired, lays down on the bench, props his head up in his jacket, and goes to sleep. Well, he wakes up 4 hours later. He's missed his bus. So he goes back to the ticket window, and the guy says, well, the next bus isn't leaving for 6 hours. So he decided that he'd walk down the street, grab a meal, maybe a beer someplace. He had a lot of time on his hands. So he walked down the street, went to the first restaurant that he came to, walked in, sat at the counter. A lady came in and sat next to him. They started talking, and he discovered that she was going to the Kansas City area as well. Well, he also discovered in this whole process that his father had been working late the night that he was killed, and on the way home, his oil light came on. All the gas stations were closed, so he went to a truck stop on the outside of town to have it checked out and have oil put in the car. On his way back home, a drunk driver ran into the father, head in. They both died instantly. So now Max is going home for his father's funeral. He's talking to this woman in the cafe. Turns out she's going to the same place. They get on the bus. They ride together to the Kansas City area, become very good friends, make plans to meet each other afterwards, after the funeral. And they took up a relationship. Eventually they got married, and this was their 65-year celebration. Now, the whole point of this was Max was talking to his 6 children. He had 7 originally, but one died. He's talking to his 6 children. He's talking to his 27 grandchildren, and he was talking to his 51 great-grandchildren. They were all there. He asked them to stand. He says, the reason I tell you this story about my father dying, about me coming back from the Korean War, because if every single thing wouldn't have happened, if my father wouldn't have worked late, if his oil light wouldn't have gone on, if he wouldn't have had to gone out to the truck stop, he wouldn't have run into that, or that drunk wouldn't have run into him, and he'd still be alive. If he was alive, I never would have called back from Korea. I would have stayed over there and served out my term and come home. If that would have happened, I wouldn't have met Harriet in that cafe down the street. If I wouldn't have fallen asleep on the bench and missed the first bus, I wouldn't have met Harriet. He said, the point is, if every single thing of those, one of those things hadn't happened, you people, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, wouldn't exist. And that stunned everybody. Have you ever stopped about yourself? Stop thinking about yourself? All the things that had to come into play in order for you to exist, and what would it be like if you didn't exist? Now, sure, you might have come forth as a soul into a different incarnation. A lot of things happen, but you, the you that you are today, the life that you have, the children that you have, the relatives that you have, What if you never would have come to exist? That's an incredible thought. And for the 80-some kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids that were standing there, half of them started to cry because they were so thankful that Max went through all the things that he did and that Harriet went through all the things that she did in order for them to have life. Now, at that point in time, I had never given gratitude for my life. I had never been as thankful as they were for my life because I just took it for granted. Yeah, I'm alive, I'm here, things are going great. I didn't think about what if one little thing wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have come into existence. And that made me sad that possibility existed, but it also made me incredibly grateful for the fact that I have life. And every single person in this room can be just as grateful if you stop and take a moment. You thank God or the universe or the spiritual power, whatever you want to identify with, you thank that power for your existence. You thank that power for the person that you are, for all the things that had to happen in order for you to come into this world and to be here today. All the powers that you have, all the talents that you have, everything that you need to live a successful and fulfilling life, you have been given. Now, the problem is, the first 10 years of our lives, the precortal, frontal precortal part of the brain isn't developed. And that is the part of the brain that filters negative impressions. And that is not in place the first 10 years of our lives. So negative impressions just flow into us, and we are more inclined to criticize or to condemn or to complain about something than we are to have a sense of gratitude about something. It's not until we're 20 years old that full part of the brain is developed, but by then we just have fallen into our lifestyle, and we just think this is the way it is. You know, complain about that, worry about that, criticize that, and never really stop and think about everything that we have, but we don't give gratitude on a regular basis. Many of you might remember this movie. It took place maybe 15 years ago. Actually, it was filmed in Lawrence. And it was about this family that underwent a nuclear war, a nuclear bomb, and they all had to go underground. And there they had suspected this, so they had food and they had water and they had all the necessities. But when they came out, after everything was cleared and it was safe, when they came out of their underground bunker, and there was nothing. There was no green grass. There were no flowers. There were no birds in the air. It was just a desolate, dark, and dingy landscape. The sun wasn't visible. You could see the light behind the gray, sooty fog that existed. But stop and think about all the things in your life, whether it was coming to church today or going home from church today, all the things in your life that are out there just to please you, just to be given to you. For me, it's still magic to see a red cardinal land on my windowsill. You know, when I was growing up, everybody said, oh, if you see a red cardinal, that's somebody that you really love that died. And so now when a red cardinal comes, I don't know if it's my Aunt Bessie or who it is, but it's thrilling. The point I'm trying to make is, if you want to have a longer, happier life, we have to establish habits of gratitude. And that is getting into the habit of just seeing something that is special to us that we appreciate and just acknowledging it. We don't have to get down on our hands and knees and pray to God, thank you so much for this flower. You know, they're going to lock us up if we do that. But we do have to start recognizing all the things that each of us individually have and all the things that the world has to offer outside of us, almost as gifts. Now, I had a friend of mine who I met at another wedding reception, and she was a professor down in Texas. And while we're sitting there at the reception, she told me that she recently had gone through a bout of cancer. And when she first found out, she was furious. Her and her partner lived together, and they just didn't know what they were going to do if she had to give up her job and the finances, plus the idea of having something that was life-threatening. And they were playing checkers at their kitchen table, and all of a sudden, Pat was her name, Pat became so angry that she just took her arm and flung the checkers off the board. And they just sat there, both of them crying. And then pretty soon her partner went over and picked up some Post-it notes And she came over and said, write down something on this Post-it note that you're thankful for. So Pat thought a little bit, and she had 2 daughters. She wrote down a daughter on each slip and put it on the checkerboard. They spent the rest of the evening filling up that checkerboard with all the things that they were grateful for, until they got to the very last square, and you can kind of see the diagram or the outline on your bulletin. They get the very last square, and she put on the Post-it note, cancer, and put that on the board. And she came to the conclusion that cancer is just as much a part of my life as everything else, but not more than anything else. And I am not going to spend any more time on this cancer square than I am on the square up here that says my garden, or my students, or my car, or family and friends. I will dedicate some time to it because it's in my life and I can't ignore it, but it's not going to control my life. She never missed a day of work. And she was cured of cancer, and to this day she's living strong. And she is going out with that message to other people that are suffering from a cancer of some sort, and saying it doesn't have to be the end, but it is not the all. Stop and take into consideration everything else that you still have today, even though the cancer is present. Stop and take into consideration the doctors, the hospitals, the medical technology, the medicines that are available for you today. Put that down as a thank you, a thank you, a thank you, a thank you. Cancer is not the end in many cases, and it certainly isn't the all in every case. The world still blossoms with all sorts of wonderful, beautiful things. So today we're going to do a gratitude meditation, and it's very, very simple. As we move into this, I'm going to ask you to just place your right hand over your heart, and we're going to take a little longer time just breathing and bringing ourselves into a state of deep relaxation. And then we're going to move into a gratitude meditation that I think each and every one of us will benefit by. So take a moment to relax in your chair. And I want you to breathe in deeply, and at the height of your inhalation, just hold it for a second before you breathe out. And breathe in, and just hold it for a moment, and breathe out. And just do that yourself for a while, breathing in, pausing for a moment, and breathing out. Deep breath. The Buddhists have a theory called the open heart. And the open heart means open and aware and grateful for all that exists. An open heart. And so with this open heart concept, I ask you for just a moment, with your hand on your heart, to just think of somebody in your life. It could be a brother or sister, good friend, teacher, next door neighbor, somebody that made a monumental difference to you. Somebody in your life that you just absolutely cherish. And say thank you to them. I want you to think of the last time you laughed really loud. It might have been over Thanksgiving, it might have been with a few friends, but something happened, something was funny, and you laughed, and you laughed, and you laughed. What a joyous occasion. Think back to one of the toughest, most difficult times that you've had in your life. One of those times you just didn't know if you're going to make it. Dark clouds filled your day. Happiness didn't seem to be in sight. The challenge you were facing was so big you didn't think you'd ever get over it. But you had the power. You had the knowledge, you had the intelligence, you had the perseverance, you had the stamina, and you moved through it. And in this moment, you can give thanks for yourself, that spiritual part of yourself, everything it provides you to rise above, move beyond, or successfully manage anything that happens in your life. If you have lost somebody that you dearly loved, a good friend, a good family member, think about the part they played in your life. Say thank you to that person. And stop and think about some non-human thing in your life that you just absolutely adore. It could be a kitten, could be a puppy, could be a baby, could be the flowers in the garden, whatever it might be, just some element of the world, of existence, that brings you incredible joy. And give thanks for that. It is impossible to step outside these doors, look around, and not find something that you're grateful for. It's impossible to go through an entire day and not find something that pleases you, not find something that strikes a chord of beauty within you, not find something that makes you feel incredible alive. And so we turn from the potholes in the road, the down times, the difficult times, the problems and the challenges. We turn from that and we realize it's a part of life, but the bigger part of life are all the wonderful, beautiful things that make up our existence. You're blessed, and you are a blessing. The key to increasing gratitude is to make it a habit. To be aware of things in your life that you're grateful for. Then to emotionally connect with those things so you not only think about how wonderful they are, but you feel it. And then you pass that good on. Identify, emotionalize, and pass it on. You're a good person living a good life. And for that we all say thank you. Amen.